Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the New York Women's Foundation Celebrating Women Breakfast. Turn your attention to the back of the ballroom and let's get the celebration started with a performance by Fogo Azul. Please welcome the New York Women's Foundation's co-chair of the Board of Directors, Grania McNamara and Yvonne Moore.
Good morning, everyone. Wow, 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 what a performance from Fogo Azul. Let's give them one more round for waking us all up this morning. I'm Grania McNamara, Board Chair at the New York Women's Foundation.
And I am Yvonne Moore, Board Chair of the New York Women's Foundation.
On behalf of the entire board of the New York Women's Foundation, I'd like to welcome everybody here this morning. Thank you for being here so bright and early. We're so delighted to see you all. And a big thank you also to our online viewers who are joining us. We wholeheartedly welcome you into our space as well. Thank you for being here. I'd like to begin by acknowledging the tremendous efforts of our steering committee, led by our board members, Karen Choi and Mignon F.C. Edwards, who worked so tirelessly to put this event together. Thank you so much for all that you do. We are here this morning to honor 5 incredible women: Ada, Carla, Elizabeth, Min, and Rebecca, Congratulations to all of you. I know we are all looking forward to hearing from you today. The Celebrating Women's Breakfast is really also about, of course, our wonderful grantee partners, who are many of whom are here behind me on the stage. Let's give them a huge round of applause. And of course, we could not do any of this work without you, our donors, so a huge thank you to you. When you support the New York Women's Foundation, you are supporting amazing leaders like the ones that we are honoring and the ones behind me here on the stage. They are working to advance economic, gender, and racial justice every day. Through their passion, their dedication, and solutions, individuals and families and communities are transformed. If you are here today, you are also part of the solution. Let me just let you ruminate on that for a moment as we continue with the program. If you are here today, you are part of the solution, so thank you. Thank you for being here with us today.
Your contributions, time, strength, and hopes have a home at the Foundation. Because of your radical generosity, the Foundation can do what it does best: invest in dynamic leaders working toward a vibrant future for all women and gender-expansive people. At the first ever Celebrating Women Breakfast 35 years ago, that's right, the Foundation announced its first grants, $50,000 and 4 grantees. Fast forward, the Foundation has awarded $100 million to more than 500 grantee partners over its history. Our grant making places us in the top of public women's foundations in the United States. This is possible because of we, all of us in this room and beyond, make it happen. We support the Foundation, when we support the Foundation, our gifts become more powerful. The power of collective giving. When we give, we take collective action for a world where women and gender-expansive people can lead and thrive, can live free of violence and discrimination, and can take back control of their birthing and reproductive rights. That's right. We want to thank you for being in partnership with the New York Women's Foundation. All right, I've got it. All right. Now it is my sincere honor to introduce our first honoree, Ada Williams Prince. This woman is a fierce angel. Ada is an established thought leader at the intersection of philanthropy, equity, and global economic development. At Pivotal Ventures, founded by Melinda French Gates, she directs high-level engagement and strategies to advance social progress in the United States, specifically in the areas of adolescent mental health and accelerating the power and influence of women and girls of color. And when I tell you she's committed to the advancement of women and girls of color, I mean in every realm. I'm not sure how many people actually know this, but she actually did this work with Bill Nye the Science Guy, helping advance their outreach around STEM to girls of color. Ada brings over 20 years of domestic and international impact. She brings 20 years of domestic and international social impact experience to this work. Ada has served as a board member for several organizations, including the Refugee Women's Alliance in Seattle, Wandsworth Women's Aid UK, and she currently serves on the board of PAI, a global reproductive health organization, the Women's Funding Network, and is chair of the advisory board of the Collective Future Fund, a collective of donors working to end violence and prioritizing support for work led by survivors. I want to get this right. The Collective Future Fund is a collective of donors working to end violence and prioritizing support for work led by survivors of color, queer, trans, non-binary, gender non-conforming people, including those with disability. But Ada's true power lies not in her training and her expertise, but in her sincerity, her authenticity, and her vision for a world and a country in which women and girls of color are not an afterthought. As most women of color, she is in constant battle to tell our story, a narrative written by us, not by dominant culture, to ensure that strategies crafted by philanthropy exist to shift real power and ownership to women and girls of color, to actually involve women of color in the building of those strategies. In 2021, Ada created the Women of Color Design Council, the first ever council of its kind in philanthropy, engaging women from across our beautiful spectrum. A partnership with women of color leaders who have been tackling for decades the most pressing barriers. A partnership that not only sought their wisdom, but immediately invested in their wisdom and expertise, not using them for information like so many often do. And this partnership is all because she was determined to help Pivotal Ventures create a strategy that met women and girls of color where they actually are in society, constantly hindered by structural racism that sadly remains America. She aimed to build a strategy that examines and is truthful about the barriers to opportunity for women, a strategy that tackles the institutional bias and stress that happens in the workplace for women of color. A strategy that attempts to change the bias and exclusion that happens when we talk about investing in women entrepreneurs. And a strategy that understands the exhaustion we carry and the opposition that happens on a daily basis in almost every space we inhabit, preventing us from bringing our full selves to our work. We also honor her today, not only because she's a fierce angel, but because in all of her battles, she manages to bring a kindness and enthusiasm that never ceases to embrace you in love and joy. She just simply checks in on you. Not after you've been talking for 30 or 40 minutes. She asks you first, how are you doing? Ada, it is our great honor to present you with a Vision Award in recognition of your leadership and your untiring efforts to move philanthropy toward greater equity and justice.
I just want to thank you. I don't know how many times I can thank you. It's not enough. Thank you to the New York Women's Foundation. What a joy it is to be here with you by video. But it's still a joy, and accept the New York Women's Foundation Vision Award. To me, to my mind, body, and spirit, I say yes to this moment of celebration of all of you. I say yes, and I accept this award. I accept this joy, and I accept that my wisdom and contributions are valuable. That was scary. It's like a little black girl mantra. It's worth saying out loud just to remind me to own these moments, to own them and dwell within them as much or more than I do in the disempowerment, the disappointment, the self-doubt. So I'm saying it. I'm deserving. We're all deserving. And I hope that this is a reminder for you all to celebrate your wins, no matter how big or small. I am so proud of the work we do at Pivotal Ventures, and specifically the work I lead, which is Centering Women and Girls of Color Strategy. Day in and day out, I get to witness firsthand the power and influence that women and girls of color bring to the table and to the world. I see leaders like you all working tirelessly to disrupt and dismantle exclusionary norms and truly embrace inclusion. This is how we build a world capable of reaching its full potential. This is how we build community. Melinda French Gates, she said, when you lift up women, you lift up humanity. That's exactly the work we're doing on the Design Council. I couldn't be prouder or more grateful for the brilliant minds that have surrounded me and poured their love and wisdom into this strategy. Together, we are showing the world of philanthropy why and how to explicitly center women and girls of color who have historically been silenced or locked out of decision making. Because of this collective effort, Pivotal Ventures has partnered with amazing organizations such as the New York Women's Foundation's Young Women's Initiative, and given a total of millions of dollars to begin building a better understanding for how we collectively increase power and influence of women and girls of color. I accept this award on behalf of the Women and Girls of Color Design Council and Community of Practice that moved a vision into action and practice. I accept this award on behalf of all of those working tirelessly to ensure pathways for intergenerational wealth for women and girls of color. I accept on behalf of women and girls dedicated to ensuring that we reduce the barriers for the next generation of girls of color. I accept on behalf of the women dedicated to ensuring that women and girls of color are not overlooked in data and represented as leaders in research. If you do this work long enough, someone may notice and hand you an award. But even if they don't, a changed world and a limitless future for millions of little girls ain't bad either. So keep working and let your wins wash over you. Thank you again so, so much.
Please welcome to the stage Celebrating Women Breakfast co-chair Karen Choi to present our next award.
Good morning, everyone. It is thrilling to be back in person. And thank you all for being here today. And thank you to the grantee partners who are on the ground doing the difficult work of uplifting every person in this city. Because together we can make a difference, and together we can make enduring change. I'm up here this morning to give Minjin Lee the Celebrating Woman Award. And I have to tell you, she's a pretty incredible lady. She is the author of Free Food for Millionaires and Pachinko, and she's a recipient of many, many awards. So many awards, I can't name them all today. And I have to tell you that she is a brilliant storyteller. She's a brilliant storyteller in how she tells the Korean American immigrant story. And that speaks to me, and that speaks to so many in this room and so many around the world. And it is not just that she's telling these stories. It is because we are celebrating her today because she uses her position, her visibility, her power, and in particular, the power of her voice to speak up for everyone. She speaks up for all the Asians out there, for all those who are in fear, for all the elderly, for our grandparents, for the young, for all those who are marginalized, for all women. She speaks for all of us here today and for me. And I gotta tell you, I was a little nervous that she wasn't gonna be able to make it this morning. She just got here at 2 a.m. Not even 24 hours ago, she was in South Korea at the presidential inauguration, flying around the world on Air Force Two. So we are so grateful that you're here with us this morning. And Minjin, I gotta tell you, you make it so that we all know that we can do more, because we can see what you do. We can all speak up more. We can all reach out to someone else more. We can all give more. And together we can make a difference. And together we will make enduring change. And on behalf of the New York Women's Foundation, we award you the Celebrating Woman Award. And here is your walking stick.
Good morning. Thank you, Karen. She made me cry. I'm so profoundly honored to be here with you today and to be included in this group of extraordinary honorees. I'm a writer, so I thought I would tell you a very short story today. When I was in high school, I fell in love with a boy. For months, we made out. And we decided to do it. It was a very serious decision. I was 16 years old, and it was my first time. I had finally, at least to me, found the boy with whom I would lose my virginity. And because I had read so many old novels where a young girl's life could be ruined by getting pregnant, I wanted to be careful. I wanted to go to college and then graduate school, and I wanted to be an independent woman and have a cool life in Manhattan. I did not want to get married and have a family, because that would mean that I would become like my mother. And as much as I loved my mother and I admired her, I did not want to have her life. She worked 6 days a week with my father, and she had given up too much to care for her family. My friends told me about Planned Parenthood, so I went to the offices in Manhattan and I got birth control pills. And I should add that I was not allowed to have a boyfriend. I was a straight A student at the Bronx High School of Science. One of the most competitive high schools in the country, and I did not drink, smoke, or do drugs. However, I had a secret boyfriend that my parents knew nothing about. And I could not talk to my parents about contraceptives or sex. I did not have those parents. I had taken honors biology. So I knew about pregnancy. And I knew that the pill was more effective than condoms. And because I read the news, I learned all about herpes and AIDS. I am Gen X. When I went to college, that boy from high school went to another college, and he wanted to date other girls. So we broke up. Asshole. He's not here. I dated another guy seriously, and we had sex. At Yale College, I was on the health plan, and I got my birth control pills there. I graduated, and I went to law school. I was still on my life plan of becoming a young urban professional. That guy from college moved to another country, and in my second year, I met Chris, the man who would become my husband. I was 22. I went to law school at Georgetown University, and because it is a Catholic school, they would not provide birth control pills. even to graduate students. I returned to Planned Parenthood and got my birth control pills. I didn't have much money in graduate school, so it was a very serious additional expense. However, I used my savings to get the pill because I wanted to finish law school. And during those years, even though I was careful to use the pill and condom, there were a number of pregnancy scares, with trips to the drugstore to buy expensive pregnancy tests, and what seemed like interminable minutes waiting for that stick to turn to the color that I wanted. And there was no question in my mind that if I got pregnant in high school, in college, or law school, I would have had an abortion. After law school, I married Chris. I was 24. But before we got married, I told him that I did not want to have children. And he said, okay. After practicing law for 2 years, I quit to write full-time. Then 4 years into our marriage, I thought maybe I could have kids with Chris because I felt ready and because I trusted him finally that he would make a good father. He said he wanted to try. I got pregnant right away, and then I miscarried right away, and I had a D&C procedure. We waited the recommended time and tried again. I got pregnant, but it was really difficult because I had preeclampsia, a condition that could be fatal to both the mother and the child. I was put on bed rest and monitored, and after 39 weeks, I gave birth to Sam. I was 29 years old when I became a mother. I started having sex when I was 16 and gave birth when I was 29. And in those 13 years, I learned at least 2 things. Just because I liked a guy enough to sleep with him or even marry him, I did not wish to have a child with him, not at the time. And secondly, having had birth control and the ability and freedom to have a safe and legal abortion, even if that liberty was never exercised, the knowledge of it alone allowed me to pursue my professional goals, and more importantly, I had the freedom to meet the man and lover with whom I wanted to eventually become a co-parent. I had the freedom to grow up and to change my mind. I had the freedom to be fully human. This is my brief story of sex. And family planning. But it is also my story of the right to have birth control and a legal and safe abortion. I hope each of you will honor your story of sex and family planning because it is our life story. It is our autobiography, and your stories and mine make up our history. I hope you and I can make sure that every generation and every woman, girl, and human who can conceive can write her own story or their own story of sex, because our sexual histories are the evidence of our full lives. I wish all of us power, authority, and liberation. Thank you.
Please welcome to the stage our first grantee speaker from Bronx Rebirth, Nicole Beroja.
Good morning, beautiful people. My name is Nicole Beroja, and I am a Black Dominican from the Bronx. Let me start by thanking the New York Women's Foundation for inviting me here today to share my story. My introduction to the foundation came by way of an organization very dear to my heart, Bronx Rebirth. Their support through my journey into motherhood speaks to their relentless commitment to Black and Latina women as we navigate prenatal, birth, and postpartum care. In March of 2020, I found out that I was pregnant with my first son. Not only was I a recent graduate, still in the middle of a job search, but 1 week after I found out I was expecting, the world closed down due to COVID. Once I connected with Bronx Rebirth, they guided me every step of the way. When I had body aches, Nicole introduced me to prenatal yoga. When I wanted to learn more about breastfeeding, Nicole introduced me to the Chocolate Milk Cafe, a breastfeeding support group for moms of the African diaspora. When I was finally able to get into a doctor's office, I was unprepared for the impersonal experience I would have. I was violated by a lack of communication and bedside manner. For many women like me, the experience is the type of medical care we get in New York City. Our concerns, needs, and voices are silenced by racism and bias. In the moments that we are most vulnerable, we're dismissed instead of embraced. Feeling emotionally safe and nurtured is integral to a healthy birthing experience. Anybody that knows, knows. To feel good is so important due to oxytocin's role in birth. To ignore a person's emotional being can literally cause complications. Nicole and Bronx Rebirth support increased my sense of agency and confidence. Because of this, I trusted my intuition during my birth. When my labor finally began, 10 days late, the due date, I was in the wonderful cocoon of my husband and my mom and Nicole's calming influence. Once my contractions got closer together, Nicole drove me to the birth center where I initially planned to deliver. The birth center did everything they could to keep me comfortable, but I had to be transferred to the hospital because complications arose unexpectedly. There I was told I needed a C-section immediately and was assumed to be on drugs or mentally unwell when I said I needed time to think about it. I listened to my intuition and I pushed my son out with a chorus of the same 20 medical staff who were previously pushing for a C-section, now affirming me to push, push. In the middle of a pandemic, all these doctors in attendance, But my own mother was denied the experience of being there with me because of COVID protocol. I felt like the medical team was more interested in their own observational experience than being present for my needs as a patient, and my birth is not a transactional moment. When you are pregnant, Black, Latina, and have low income, hospitals too often ignore your needs. Bronx Rebirth and the birth center staff provided exemplary patient-centered service that helped me have a wonderful pregnancy and trust myself through my labor, regardless of where I gave birth. Compassionate communication and respect towards the birthing person is essential to caring for their whole being. Birthing was my rite of passage into motherhood. My body opened up to bring forth new life, both mine and my son's. Today, Romeo is a true Sagittarius. He came into the world fiery, headstrong, and full of self-assurance. I am so proud to be his mom. Everyone is deserving of a safe and affirming birth experience. And if we want to change outcomes in maternal health for Black and Latina people, it starts with listening to us. Thank you.
Please welcome to the stage, Celebrating Women Breakfast co-chair Mignon Espy, to present our next award.
Good morning. Good morning. Good morning to our esteemed panel of granting partners and to all of you here and virtually. Can we just take a moment to give ourselves a round of applause for being back? You look great. I'm honored to present this drum major for justice, attorney Elizabeth Yeampierre, with the Celebrating Women Award. Yes, you may applaud. Elizabeth is more than an environmental attorney. She is a climate justice leader and the co-founder of Our Power PR NYC. For more than 25 years, in her most important role, Elizabeth has led Brooklyn's UpRose, a Latino community-based organization focused on sustainability. And she is co-chair of the Climate Justice Alliance, where she leads a coalition of more than 70 organizations focused on addressing racial and economic inequities with climate change. But let me explain to you why the work that Elizabeth does is so important. Elizabeth has taken on the movement of our lifetimes to mobilize and empower others to take action for climate justice. She keeps us focused on extractive impacts that fall heavily on women and marginalized communities. Because after all, matters of climate justice, they're not other people's issues, they're all of our issues. Look at your neighbor and say, all of our issues. Yes. Her issues are all of our issues. Her work organizes a collective, inspired response for care and repair for frontline communities most severely impacted by the climate crisis, racism, and cruel indifferences to suffering. In 2015, Vogue magazine called Elizabeth a climate warrior. And she was recognized as one of 13 women on the front lines fighting against climate change. Did you also know that Elizabeth was the first Latina chair of the US EPA, National Environmental Justice Advisory Council, where she worked diligently to ensure that environmental justice was incorporated into not only EPA rulemaking, but also integrated into all federal agencies. So whether mobilizing for justice and democratization or ensuring that the representation for this fight is fair and equitable, her fierce, fierce advocacy for marginalized and climate impacted makes the world sit up and take notice. And we know that she spent tireless hours advancing the mission and growing the movement. Elizabeth, we see you. And we've seen the ways that you centered the communities most impacted by climate change. And for that, my friend, we are humbled to present you with the Celebrating Women Award. Ladies and gentlemen, a round of applause for Elizabeth Yeampierre.
Ashe, ashe, ashe. And thank you so much. What an honor to be in the midst of such badassery. I feel. My mom said that I was born, that I came out of the womb fist first. My mom told no lies. I want to dedicate this prestigious recognition to my mother, Digna Sylvia Garcia, who transitioned less than a year ago. As a Puerto Rican woman of Black and Indigenous ancestry, she raised me to resist all the existential challenges and indignities that she and women like her endured growing up in New York City. And this recognition is for her. And honestly, for all the women who come from struggle. I'm honored to be part of the matriarchal, leaderful, intergenerational, Black, Indigenous, women of color-led climate justice movement. We are confronting a crisis born out of the extraction of our land and the colonization and enslavement of our peoples. The crisis is complex, it is cross-generational, it is deeply rooted in overwhelming systems designed to maintain the status quo for the wealthy, the most wealthy, at the expense of our lives. And yet, those of us who are descendants of colonization and enslavement, we are not responsible for climate change. But Hurricane Katrina, Maria, Andrew, Ida, the floods and fires throughout the South remind us of how the legacy of abuse of our mother is showing up. And although the problems are intersectional and overwhelming, the communities that I'm part of, and on behalf of, and fight on behalf of, refuse to be overwhelmed. Because we exist because resistance made it possible. So just as we've always faced oppression, we rise together. We see the climate justice movement as being beyond intersectional. Our movement is multidimensional. We organize, base build, we engage in popular education, culture, arts, policy, infrastructure. It is cross-sectoral. Regardless of what you're doing in your life right now, whether you are an accountant, a musician, whether you're working in housing, employment, social services, climate change is going to impact the way you live and whether or not we have a future. And justice talks about it being anchored in frontline leadership that looks like us. As far back as 1998, the Sunset Park community envisioned a green industrial sector. One that would help them put food on the table and not have to worry about asthmatic children in emergency rooms. And that's often the choice in environmental justice communities where we are surrounded and saturated by environmental burdens. And 7 years ago, an industrial developer decided that they were going to rezone the industrial sector of Sunset Park. They proposed office space, high-tech, upscale recreation. And this would mean white-collar tech jobs, displacement, and a complete loss of working-class jobs. We were told to sign a memorandum of understanding. Basically, we were told to sign away our future, the lives of our children, to compromise justice, and we did not sign. We were told we would lose because they had 5 public relations firms and were known to be so powerful. And we organized. And we decided to lead with vision and to fight for green reindustrialization of Sunset Park. And so when we won last year, our victory against one of the most well-connected and powerful developers in New York, we laid the seeds for offshore wind, which will be a model of a just transition throughout the world. Because when you're committed to multidimensional organizing, the wind secure multidimensional possibility that goes beyond the victory itself. We have launched the first community-owned solar cooperative in the state of New York, and $500 million in investments for offshore wind at the South Brooklyn Marine Terminal. As part of the leadership of New York Renews, we helped pass the most aggressive legislation in the United States, and recently learned, after fighting for years against the discriminatory siting of power plants in our communities, that 3 dirty peaker plants will be decommissioned and make room for energy storage. Because the climate justice movement, we are winning because the climate justice movement is shifting models of power, demanding co-governance, and because we know that a transition is inevitable, but justice is not. So we work to ensure deep democracy and solidarity among movement formations. So gracias de corazón. I trust and hope it represents that this honor represents a commitment to multidimensional solutions to the climate crisis, a commitment to the wisdom of the matriarchal, leaderful, Black, Indigenous women of color that lead this movement. The crisis we face demands this commitment. It demands that we honor those offering solutions from the front line, and that we have the discipline to chart a path that is free of false solutions and defined by justice. So today, I'm deeply honored and joyful to receive recognition for holding the line, for fearlessly walking through the doors that my ancestors opened for me, and saying kibae to my mother, Digna Garcia, and bringing moforibale to the orishas that have lit my path with honey and with sunflowers. So paz y poder, gracias.
Please welcome to the stage our next grantee speaker from Alliance for Family Justice, Karima Smith.
Good morning. I am Karima Smith, Alliance of Families for Justice, first artist in residence, currently in my 2nd year, a position which I have dreamed of and find great pride in. I'm very happy to be here today to represent AFJ. I am a mother, I am a grandmother, I am a wife to a man serving a 20 to life sentence. Between us, we have 6 children and 2 grands. Our eldest, Shakira, is here with me today at table number 8, Blue Mask. I am grateful for AFJ's presence in our lives. The support, guidance, unity, and dedication of AFJ and her members is supremely humbling to me. I am further humbled by the beautiful ideas and visions for her future. I was blessed with the opportunity to meet Sophia Elijah, Queen Mother, as I enjoy referring to her as, and the AFJ team shortly after their launch at WeWork Harlem in 2016. I literally worked next door to AFJ and was positioned where I saw Sophia super focused and on the move daily. It wasn't until she presented the mission, progress, and vision of AFJ at a We Work Harlem event that showcased all the nonprofits and other businesses in the building that I discovered that I needed to be a part of all AFJ had to offer. Shortly after that presentation, I stopped Sophia in the hallway of our joint offices, and I whispered my desire and need to be a part of AFJ. Greatly impacted 14 years now by the absence of my incarcerated husband, and just celebrating a 9-year wedding anniversary, I've dedicated my time, energy, and now my talent to contributing to the continued success of AFJ. A few months ago, my husband was unjustly manhandled and placed in solitary confinement, and we were stripped of our family reunion time together. As part of my efforts to keep his spirits up and shower him with love and support, I write poetry and will share one piece with you now. Another level. You precious human, everything about you feeds and fulfills my soul. You are power. So far away, yet spiritually, I am at your side. I am emotionally keeping your presence here alive. You are love. Not one day passes, excuse me, not one day passes where your essence isn't aligned to form the dimensions of my heart. You are my reason for fighting, the reason that regardless of the season, I stand and sing for justice. I walk and shout for justice. I ride and show up and strategically show out for justice. It's just us, parents, siblings, children, and significant others. Family and friends standing in solidarity to ensure our presence is well known and your voice, our voice, is heard. Continue to take minutes each day to give thanks for good health, the love of family, and your dedication to secure your mental wealth. You are inspiration. Maintain your drive to keep your belief in the divine alive and call on the ancestors to remain reminded of the love that shields you. You are royal. 8.5 years and counting, 13.5 years of spiritual bonding and meditation at 10 p.m. Each day that passes elevates our bond to further withstand the unnecessary actions and unjust words and situations that take our journey to another level. Thank you.
Please welcome to the stage the President and CEO of the New York Women's Foundation, Ana Oliveira.
Good morning, everybody. How are you doing? How are you doing? Okay, so thank you so much for coming out and being here, and thank you for everybody that is tuning in remotely, because nothing deters us, correct? Nothing, absolutely nothing. We shape-shift, but we keep that core of commitment. So let me begin by always repeating and clarifying something that is so important to the foundation. And that is the folk that are sitting here with us on the stage and the folk that are also sitting out there in the audience, our grantee partners. Yes, yes. Why do I say this? Because they bring the significance to the work of the foundation. Without the work, the leadership, the impact of our grantee partners, foundations are just a bunch of good intentions and some money. But But the difference that is made is really through the work of our grantee partners. So we are so grateful to you for allowing us to see you and to partner with you. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for the work you do on a daily basis. So, like you, I've been listening to our honorees, to our grantee speakers, and I noticed that the messages of affirmation, the messages of strength, the messages of resistance, of pride, of determination, of that capacity to not be deterred by anything, are coming so strongly through their voices, through their lives at this moment. And look at the moment that we are. We could look at the moment that we are and say, oh my God, there are additional threats to our lives. And I'm going to say, absolutely. They have always been there. They are no news to any of us. But I would say that more than ever, we have an enormous strength, and we are prepared not just to face the threats, but to advance towards justice. Why do I say that? Because in the 35 years of the Foundation's existence, the Foundation has been able to prove that problems and solutions live in the same place. That those who are living those challenges and on a daily basis, not only surviving them, but creating collectively solutions that go beyond the problems. That's what our grantee partners do. We have shown that the best thing that philanthropy can do is be able to see, and it matters that we see, and it matters who sees us. Be able to see and partner, to come as we are and do all that we can. Yes, that's right. Thank you. So in these 35 years, we've been able, you heard our board chair say that we have invested over $100 million. But I'm here to tell you today that it's not going to take the Foundation another 35 years to reach the next $100 million. Yes, we will do it in 10 or less. And we will do it in 10 or less because of you, because of so many more others that are not here, and because most importantly, it is needed. The movements and leaders that we fund are the ones that are standing for our lives. The sense of creating the world that we want to see is not a deferred goal for the future. It is what we create today. The Foundation fundamentally works with you and many others to create the world that we do today. That's why our grant making has grown, and that's why we will continue to maintain it at that. So, the conversations that we're having about full reproductive justice are really about conversations of control of women's lives. And I mean cis, trans, black, brown, white, indigenous, all of our lives. It should strike us, by definition, that our lives must be very powerful, that our agency and self-determination is so threatening that century after century, the attempts to control us continue to go on. But notice that the opposition to abortion rights in particular, it took them half a century, 50 years, to be able to create trouble again. Think about that. It will not take us 50 years to continue to defend and support our rights. Absolutely not. And when we talk about full reproductive rights, of course we talk about the right to determine if one wants to become a mother, a parent. And that is for cis, trans, women of all ranges of abilities. But it also means supporting when women choose to become parents and providing the necessary economic, caretaking, and value that lives need to be able to really exercise parenthood. It is not just about, yes, it is about quality of care. It is about economic justice. It is about racial justice, all of it in that package. So make no mistake, we're not just combating Roe versus Wade's opposition. We are combating the full range of opposition to the thriving of our lives. We are asserting that our lives matter, that we know that were we not powerful, there would not be this kind of investment in the opposition and control of our lives. Never forget that. So, you know, individually, we always have a choice to look at the part of the glass that's full or the part of the glass that's empty. Ada talked about that. She said, I choose to take in my strength, my value today. And she asked us all to do that, right? So what is the good news that we have? Not only we have enormous strength in our movement leaders, enormous strength, but we also have very important partners in government. For decades, the foundation has been involved in what we call investments in civic engagement. For us, that is not only protecting democracy, but it is expanding democracy. The work of democracy as a governance of this country is not done. But look, even within those circumstances, in New York City now, we have a majority of women in city council, 30 members of city council. We have our state attorney general, who you're going to hear from soon, a powerful leader in the state. We have, for the first time, a woman governor, and we have other women running for statewide offices that are very important to us, lieutenant governor and beyond. Representation matters. Being at the tables that have access to legislation, to budget determinations, to determining for everyone what matters is really important. So there are two very important big things we need to continue to do. We need to continue to join and support movements. We need to show up. We need to go to and say, we are here. We need to act directly and we need to act in solidarity. And we need to exercise and fight for full democratic rights for all. Because we want to be at all those tables. It really matters. So, the work that we have done in 35 years has really been about listening to our grantee partners, mobilizing the incredible supporters of the foundation, all of you and many others. But our work is not done. Let me tell you some things that we need to achieve in the next. It would be great if we achieved them in 2022. I'm being very candid about that. They are long in coming. 8 years ago, under the leadership of Girls for Gender Equity, the foundation partnered with them and created the first ever Young Women's Initiative for girls and young women of color in the country. Today, that initiative is in 9 states. And today, I can proudly say that the City of New York, through its City Council allocations, and through a fund that the New York Women's Foundation houses, we have invested more than $50 million, new dollars, in the lives of girls and young women of color in New York. Very important. We will continue, but we need to now have parity in the government of New York City. There's a Young Men's Initiatives office. We need a Young Women's Initiative office. Let's get that done. Let's get that done and make sure that this was not just a moment in history, even if it's a 10 or 15-year moment, that it becomes institutionalized, that our lives are just as important. We have begun, under the leadership of the Beyond Roses Coalition, to work to close Rose M. Singer, the women's jail in New York City, and Rikers Island. That job is not done. A lot of work has been done, but that job needs to be completed. Dear state and city elected and appointed officials in our world, New York City and New York State, the women need a building. The women need a building where we're going to create a healing center, a transformational healing center. We need to get that done. Closing Rose M. Singer means showing the world that we can close Rikers Island, that we can bring humanity to the lives of those who need support and transformation opportunities, that we can address issues of violence, mental illness, and poverty with another response other than caging people. We need to get that done. We need to ensure that economic security and justice in New York really includes everyone. We need to come up with different solutions for women's entrepreneurship, such as street vendors, other than criminalizing them. We need to come together and get that done. We need to take down anti-disability justice regulations and rules that live in this country. We need to be aware that, for instance, the Buck versus Bell law that exists that allows the sterilization of disabled people. So what is our message today to you? Is that in solidarity, together, we are invincible. It does not matter if it is because of poverty, racial injustice, gender oppression, disabilities injustice. It does not matter. We are all intertwined together. As a single grain of rice, we cannot quench any hunger. But as a bowl of rice together, we can feed ourselves and others. As a single, yes. I think that's Eileen Kelly, an incredible board member of the New York Women's Foundation. Am I right? All right, Eileen, yes. So Eileen is a great power of example for me of what we say at the foundation. Come as you are and do all that you can. Thank you, Eileen. But let me just say this. We wouldn't be here were not for incredible people that, unlike me, don't get to come to the podium and don't get to be seen and witnessed by you. So I want to mention some of them. I want to begin with the staff of the New York Women's Foundation. As Elizabeth said, it's very good to work in that, group of badass women for me. Just want to say that. They are incredible, they're dedicated, they are humble, they are committed, they are very generous. And I want you to know that. I want to add to that our events firm, CMI, who produces this event with us year after year, and who never comes to the podium. That's not their job. But without them, we wouldn't be able to gather here today. I want to highlight the Marriott workers that very, very early in the morning set this up for us. Yes. And after we leave, they're going to clean it up and, set up for someone else. And they never get to this podium and they never get to be seen. But like them, how many people sustain our lives? How many people invisibly to others are holding us up? So here's our acknowledgement and thank you of you. Of course, the foundation has been so blessed. Over its 35 years, close to 200 women, I think 183 women, have been serving in the board as current board members or alumni of the foundation. Without you, without your vision, without your courage, we would not be here. So we are so grateful to you, our board members and our board alumni. Thank you. I want to thank our government officials who have had the courage to step up with us and be the firsts, showing that it's possible for us to do well and do good. And I want to invite our government officials to continue to do that with us. We believe that that is a must imperative coalition and partnership to take the solutions that our grantee partners are creating to the level of support and dimension that are needed for all of us. And lastly, I want to thank our donors who are, you are incredible human beings that, like our grantee partners, step out from whatever you heard you should be in life to become who you really want to become in life. There's something about the work of the foundation that we are in awe that the women and men, cis, trans, gender expansive, that are part of this universe, we bring who we are, but we refuse to be limited by the social determinations of identities, be economic, be racial, be ethnic, be gender, be ability or disability. We are who we are, and we together express lives that we control and that we set our fate and destiny. So let's continue to set our fate and destiny together. This is a time where gathering really matters. It really matters. It doesn't matter how we gather, but it matters that we gather. And it matters that we gather in solidarity. And it matters that we keep that discipline. And it matters that we do not let rocks thrown on the way take us away from our North Star and continue moving together. So the question for us is, of course, gratitude for those who came before and on whose strength we depend. But the question for us is, how strong, how sturdy, how clear are we going to be and continue to be so the next ones stand on that same strong and sturdy ground? So I want to thank you for being here, and I want you to welcome back again Karen Choi and Mignon Espy. Thank you.
Thank you, Anna. And now we've come to a really, really important portion of our program. We're here to ask you to make a contribution to the foundation. This is that moment where you can show up. We must raise $2 million today for the foundation's grant making. Don't get so quiet. Let's talk about how we get to that goal together, because together is the key word. So I think there's about 1,000 of you in this room and more viewing online. And if each of you gave $250, we'd surely reach our goal. Some of you can do less, and some of you can do much, much more. So I'm asking you to think about what you can do, and then I want you to challenge yourselves. Because every gift matters. Every gift matters. Give your gift of significance. So here comes the work. For those of you here in person, I want you to look at the center of your tables. Come on, we can wait. So those envelopes and the pens at the center of your tables are not decor. Raise them high. Let's see them. Fill them out and put them in the box. Or If you prefer to do this virtually, raise up your cell phones, or if you're at home, follow the prompts. Take a look at the screens for all you savvy cell phone users. Text CWB22 to 44321. Follow the prompts and give your gift a significance. Karen, do you want to talk about the work where all the gifts go?
Sure, happy to do that. As you've heard from our grantee partners today and Anna, our work here is not done, and there is so much more work to do. And here are just a couple of facts. We live in one of the wealthiest cities in the world, and guess what? Not many of those dollars go to our grantee partners. 1 out of 6 people in our city live below the poverty line. Does that make any sense to anyone in this room? And we're not talking about anything incredible here. We're talking about just the basics. The basics of being able to breathe clean air, drink clean water, have affordable housing, earn a fair wage, being able to be safe in your home, at work, on the streets, or on the subway. We're talking about people being respected for who they are as an individual. And we're talking about justice today. So each gift here that you make today will make a difference, and together we will make a difference. And what I want to ask of all of you today is about changing history. Change his story to her story. Let's push ourselves just to do a little bit more. I know a lot of you have already budgeted a certain amount of dollars to give today, but let's just all do a little bit more, because we can be radically generous. Not just generous, radically generous, because everyone, every child, every woman, every family needs us to be today. Thank you.
Please. Thank you, Karen. You thought you were done with me, didn't you? We're not done yet, because change does not happen in one morning, and it doesn't happen with just one gift, but both are very powerful sparks. Let's keep this radical generosity fire going. Do you feel this fire? Do you feel the fire? So your homework assignment is to activate your friends, your colleagues, and yes, it's time to start talking to your neighbors again. Your generous support makes the New York Women's Foundation a powerful philanthropic force. Your generous contributions enable us to ensure that all women have the opportunity to prosper and live healthy, safe lives. Please join us. Please join us, because these issues matter to all of you, not just some of us, but to all of you. Thank you.
Please welcome our next award presenter, New York State Attorney General Letitia James.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much. And hey, good morning. So I want to thank Anna, and I want to thank all of you and all of the honorees and all of the grantees, and a big thanks to each and every one of you for that warm applause. So our country is at a crossroads, my friends. COVID revealed these economic, racial, and gender fault lines. And so we can't return to normal because normal, unfortunately, did not address the feminization of poverty that we are seeing in our city and in our state and across our country. And it's It's further evidence that we must invest in women. And now, as we all know, we're facing an all-out assault on our most fundamental right, the right to control our bodies and to control our own destinies, to determine our own futures. This is a five-alarm fire, and we've got to turn our anger into action. We've got to organize, we've got to mobilize, and we've got to get out the vote. Because we all know that bans will not stop abortions. Bans will only stop safe abortions. And it's not just the right to choose, it's the right to marry. It's the right to desegregate our schools. It's the right to organize. It's the right to contraception. And it's the right to vote. So this is a battle cry, my friends, because all of these battles are related. And as long as one of us, our sisters and our trans friends in Florida, in Mississippi, in Texas, and the list goes on, as long as they are not free, then none of us are free. So that's something that this next honoree has spent her life making clear. Let me tell you a little bit about my friend Rebecca Coakley. She's a champion for people with disabilities. Yes, give it up for Rebecca. A true champion for people with disabilities. That's 61 million Americans, 1 in 5 of us. She's a second-generation civil rights activist. Her parents worked their whole lives for the disability community. Rebecca studied politics. She worked at a non-for-profit. She met a young senator, and she joined his long-shot campaign. He had a funny name. His name was Barack Obama. She served all 8 years in his administration, focused on education and housing and employment and other civil rights issues, like the way the school-to-prison pipeline disproportionately affects disabled people. And later, Rebecca pioneered policy ideas at a think tank. And when the Ford Foundation launched Philanthropic's first major disability program last year, Rebecca stepped up to lead it. Yes. She often says, this isn't about charity or inspiration. It's about justice. Because disability rights are human rights. And every issue is a disability issue. Because disability affects every race and religion and gender and income and individuals of every immigration status. And that's why Rebecca is fighting for criminal justice reform. That's why Rebecca is fighting for health justice, because poor access to health care makes many conditions worse. That's why she's fighting for economic justice, because employers are still legally allowed to pay disabled people less than minimum wage. And that's something that my office is looking at. Rebecca is carrying forward the torch lit by thousands of courageous activists who put their bodies on the line to build a movement in the 1970s, who won passage of the Americans with Disability Act in 1990, who occupied congressional offices to stop Republicans' repeal of Obamacare in 2017. And we now know that disability justice is social justice. And Rebecca is taking that work to the next frontier. She reminds us, my friends, that disability isn't something broken that needs to be fixed. No. that disability is a challenge that can be overcome, that a physical disability is not strong enough to break your will, your willpower, your passion, or your purpose in life. It is my honor and my privilege to present this award to my shero, Rebecca Coakley.
Good morning. My name is Rebecca Coakley. In the disability community, when we introduce ourselves, we do visual descriptions so people know who they're looking at. It's really helpful if you're not paying attention to a Zoom at that point in time. So I am a proud, red-headed, achondroplastic woman with a glorious abundance of freckles, wearing a black jumpsuit that has pockets, and a pair of shoes that I gifted myself when I joined the Ford Foundation. I want to give a special acknowledgement to everyone in the audience who I know are wearing their nice shoes for the first time in about 2 or 3 years. They're really hurting right now. It's okay if you take them off when you leave. I am so thankful to my friend and my colleague, Ana Oliveira, and to the entire New York Women's Foundation team. To my fellow award winners, badass is just the best word to describe all of you. It is such a tremendous honor to be recognized for my work to amplify the issues facing people with disabilities. I want to call into this space the memory of Janet Riccio, a longtime board member at the New York Women's Foundation, who served as a beacon for this amazing foundation to step into disability grant making. In Janet's name, I want to welcome all the people with disabilities and chronic illnesses into the space today. To those of you who openly identify, and to those of you who can't because it's still unsafe personally or professionally, I see you. To the person with a mental illness, I see you. To the cancer survivor, we got you, you count with us too. To the person with alopecia areata, you're one of us as well. Our community is infinitely strengthened by your presence, and I am strengthened by sharing space with all of you. People like me were not in ballrooms like this, at events like this, unless we were the entertainment. People with disabilities were left to choose a job among the 8 Fs: food, filth, fetching, flowers, filing, folding, and in the case of little people, festive. Yes, we're looking at all the people that do elf work. When my mom started in her professional career, she was denied tenure because she could only use the bottom 6 inches of a chalkboard. And they said, what kind of teacher could command a classroom if the teacher could not use anything less or anything more than the bottom 6 inches of a chalkboard? Do classrooms even have chalkboards today? 32 years later, people with disabilities face similar and still largely insurmountable challenges. In 2018, I gave birth to my daughter, Kaya Rose. And while laying on the operating table at Sibley Memorial Hospital in Washington, D.C., the anesthesiologist said to my OBGYN, "So hey, while you're down there, you should go ahead and tie her tubes." And I remember tensing up, and I looked over the drape, and I saw my OBGYN tense up. And she said, what are you talking about? And he said, well, people like her don't need to have any more kids. This is her second one anyways. The Supreme Court case that allows the sterilization of disabled people was referenced by Anna in her remarks. It's called Buck v. Bell, and it's still standing law today. It's 95 years old this year. And its relevance is weighing heavily on the disability community at this particularly polarizing moment. It is not lost on me today that if Justice Holmes was ruling now, when he says 3 generations of imbeciles are more than enough, he would be talking about my mother, me, and my children. But there is hope. In 2015, the CEO of the Ford Foundation, Darren Walker, launched his pledge to commit the funds of the foundation to the cause of social justice. And it centered racial justice, and gender justice, and LGBT justice, and gender justice. But who was left out? The disability community. We like to call that approach ABD, all but disability. And we pushed back loudly. We trolled the heck out of him on the internet because nobody owns the internet better than disabled people. And unlike the countless times that we'd been ignored or erased, Darren listened. He invited us in, and he realized that there was an incredible lack of knowledge, both of his own and in philanthropy, about the inclusion of people with disabilities. When he learned that less than 2% of US-based human rights philanthropy funding goes to support the advocacy efforts tied to the disability community, he lost his mind. When he learned that 1/3 of GoFundMes in this country are for an uninsured disability-related expense, he got angry. We're talking 61 million people prior to long COVID. With COVID, we're talking about at least 81 million people in the US alone. He tasked my good friend and mentor, Nuran Khan, with helping think of solutions and growing this work inside of the foundation with the help of Judy Heumann of Crip Camp fame and Catherine Hyde Townsend to advise on how Ford needed to not only change its work externally, but internally to live its values. Disability and poverty are causes and consequences of each other. And that has never been made more stark, more visible than during this pandemic. That's why our funding strategy focuses on economic justice as a priority, in addition to building the field of the next generation of disabled leaders. In the inaugural year of grant making, we moved over $10 million. We supported the strengthening of legacy organizations that disabled people and their families depend on, and started building new ones, like the National Disabled Journalists Association, a disability and civil rights law clinic at New York Law School, and we just proudly witnessed the launch of the National Disability and Economic Justice Collaborative over at the Century Foundation. We are funding the crunching of more accurate and more representative data and supporting the telling of the real stories of disabled people by disabled people. Right now, 17 foundations have joined us to create the President's Council on Disability Inclusion and Philanthropy, and over 50 have taken a pledge to include disability in its grant-making work, but that's not nearly enough. If you care about education, we will never increase education rates of our young people as long as disability is not included. If you care about poverty, you will never ameliorate poverty in this state or in this country as long as you leave out disabled people, and disabled people are unable to save more than $2,000 in a checking account or make more than $2.15 a week. Women's issues? Over 20 states in this country allow the removal of a child from a custodial parent solely on the diagnosis of any type of disability in the parent. And it disproportionately impacts women, and specifically women of color. Mass incarceration? Over 70 to 80% of people behind bars have a disability, and even more acquire them once they're incarcerated. If you are not centering disability in your philanthropic work, you're not maximizing your efforts. In addition to my amazing colleagues at Ford, I want to thank my Rockwood sisters, Keisha Gaskins Nathan from the Rockefeller Brothers Fund, and Teresa Younger at the Ms. Foundation for Women, for entertaining my endless questions about grant making as the relative newbie in the space. I want to thank my Obama family And most of all, my amazing and supportive husband, Patrick, and my kids, Jackson, Kaya, and Kendrick, none of whom are able to be here because it's testing week in the state of New Jersey. They would much rather be here, believe me. Women never thrive until women with disabilities are at the table. And if your table is inaccessible, the law is 32 years old. It's time to redesign it. So I welcome you all to join me to ensure that philanthropy and grant making can truly drive the inclusive change it's craving. Because when you grant make centering women with disabilities, you intentionally lift up marginalized women from all communities. And in the words of my big sister, Congresswoman Ayanna Pressley, we cannot be here for scraps. We demand liberation. Thank you.
To present our next award, please welcome to the stage New York Women's Foundation board member, Mary Caracappa.
Good morning, everyone. Today, I have the honor of introducing the phenomenal woman who is Carla Harris. Carla and I have been friends and colleagues for over 30 years. I could talk about so many things that make Carla the great woman that she is. She's a vice chair and a banker at Morgan Stanley, a Harvard grad, a mom of 2 beautiful little girls, an author of 2 books, which have become the Bible for women in road mapping how to succeed in your careers, and she has a 3rd one on the way. She's a popular public speaker who brings her pearls of wisdom to everyone she meets, honestly. She's a gospel singer and a recording artist with 2 CDs to her name. She served as the chair of Obama's National Business Council during his terms. She's on corporate boards, but she also is on non-for-profit boards, the Mother Cabrini Foundation, Sesame Workshop, and the Society for Educational Opportunity. But today, I'd like to really share with you the work as Carla has been doing to bring capital to multicultural and to women entrepreneurs. In 2017, Carla founded and launched at Morgan Stanley the Multicultural Innovation Lab to address the inequities in funding multicultural and women-led startups by connecting capital and mentorship with communities that traditionally have been left behind. To date, they've funded over 50 startups. In 2019, Carla launched her very successful podcast, and award-winning, I might say, Access and Opportunity with Carla Harris, where she brings together entrepreneurs, investors, developers, and activists to explore why investors are unaware of the above-market returns that exist in investing in these communities, to dispel those misconceptions, and to show the audience what's possible through the people who are actually doing it. Carla, congratulations on this well-deserved award. You are amazing, and I'm lucky to have you as a friend. Love you. Thank you. I'll hold it.
Well, God is good all the time, and all the time, God is good. Good morning, New York Women's Foundation and guests. And a special good morning to my Morgan Stanley family, to my special girlfriends, and to my white boy sisters. Good morning. It is indeed an honor to receive this Celebrating Women's Award this morning. And I want to thank the New York Women's Foundation President and CEO, Ana Oliveira, the board, and my good friend, Mary Caracappa, for thinking of me for this honor. It is indeed a privilege to be honored by an organization that partners with women and their organizations to create an equitable future for all women and girls using the powerful multiplier effect of women in action. And I think you call it, Anna, radical generosity. Now this morning, before I take my seat, I would like to leave you with a message. Ladies, it is our time. This is our time. Studies upon studies show that women and people of color get their shot to lead when there is chaos and crisis. And I believe you will agree with me that we got a whole lot of chaos going on right now. Now is the time for us to use our imagination to redefine how we work, how we engage, how we execute, and how we lead. Now is the time to execute in a collaborative way, understanding that it is our differences that make us a powerful collective. Now is the time to leverage our experiences, intellect, and networks to drive innovation in a way that benefits all. Now is not the time to let others dictate our futures, not when we have the opportunity to design it. No one has the playbook because none of us have ever lived on the other side of a global pandemic. So do not let anybody tell you how it should look going forward when you get a chance to use your voice to define the environment around us. Now, lest you have any trepidation, lest you be tenuous, I want to talk about the temerity of a 2-year-old. Now, Webster Dictionary defines temerity as excessive confidence, boldness, audaciousness, and fearlessness. We should all have the temerity of a 2-year-old. Now, some of you know that I have a 2-year-old daughter. Yeah, I know what y'all thinking. She was born in April 2020. So this child has lived in a cocoon for 2 years, not impacted by other people's looks, what they might say, comments, or even experiences. So as I have observed her in the last few weeks since she turned 2, I realized that I would describe her actions, her spirit, who she is, with 3 C's: curious, courageous, and confident. Now I want you to think about that for a second. She has virtually lived in a bubble, not able to interact with others, to be influenced by others, or more importantly, ladies, and we know this, to be dissuaded by others. So my conclusion is, that's how she came here. And then I had an aha moment. That's how we all came here. That's how we all came here. But I want to ask you this morning, what happened between 2 and 22? What happened between 2 and 42? What happened between 2 and 62? Life happened. But I want to tell you this morning that life comes just to teach you. It's up to us whether or not we take the lesson and leverage it, or whether we take those lessons as defeat. Ladies, as I take my seat, I'm going to challenge us to go back to the 2-year-old inside of us, that girl who has the courage to be who she really is in all of her glory. That girl who will not let other people or experiences define her. That girl who has the courage to try new things. That girl who has the courage to go where she has not gone before. That 2-year-old girl who is confident that if she falls, somebody will help her up. That 2-year-old girl that if she gets in a tight spot, she's confident that she can wiggle, wiggle, and wiggle enough till she can get out of there. That girl who is curious enough to open a new door, to climb a new hill, or climb on top of my dining room table. Or that girl, that 2-year-old inside of you that sees nothing but possibility, who does not look at what is, but rather sees what could be. Ladies, be curious, be confident, be courageous, have the temerity of the 2-year-old, and we will lead at this time like we have never led before. Thank you, and thank you.
I'm here to introduce to everyone the KCS Senior Dancers. KCS stands for Korean Community Services. It is a grantee partner, a former grantee partner of the New York Women's Foundation, and they are based out of Queens, and they've been around since 1973, providing many, many different services for the Korean, American, and Asian community. And I know there are a bunch of people who love BTS, but hopefully they will replace BTS for all of you. And their dance routine is a tribute to Gloria Steinem and to all the Glorias out there today.
thank you for celebrating with us. See you next May.